Let's talk a little Florida State recruiting. The Seminoles are hot. They've started the season one of the hottest teams in the country. They're hoping that translates to the recruiting trail as well. So let's bring in Matt Lasser from War Chant. Matt, you've been talking to recruits ever since this Alabama win. What are they saying to you about FSU's hot start?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Even ones that they aren't going after are like, man, they're on a tear. I wish they would talk to me, right? Because you go down the list trying to figure out who they're circling back on of, they visited this kid in home visit one time a few months ago. Maybe they're talking to him again. And yeah, even those guys are like, please, I hope they would. I'll let you know if they do. So it's been insane just to see how much more interest they are getting. And Norvell even talked about it during the bye week or after the bye week when he got to go on the road in his press conference saying like, yeah, there's a lot of eyes on Florida State right now. And it's been good to see that just going from school to school and seeing the interest from kids. Like he went to Buford and he went down to South Florida and all around the Atlanta area as well. So it's definitely picking up.
Yeah. The Seminoles are buzzing out there. And, during the summer, Florida State, they did recruit well. They started to heat up midsummer. They landed some really good targets, but they heard a lot of no's. There's a lot of guys that they wanted that were maybe in wait and see mode. So we're almost there. We're almost to flip season. And I want to speak specifically on, the Florida Gators are struggling. They won a lot of these recruitments early on. Is there anybody on that UF commit list that you think FSU would like to take off there?
Yeah, how the tables have turned from last year when UF was looking to do the same exact thing to Florida State. The name you look at the most on that UF list, and I think everyone on the Florida State beat would agree with this, is Carson Baker. When they clearly need a running back after losing Amari Thomas to South Carolina earlier, and he seems like the most likely. For a while, talking to people around the Baker recruitment, it kind of seemed like he was still very comfortable with that UF commitment. Over the last 2 weeks, you can sense a change in that, and you have to be, right? You have to look at your options. The chances that Billy Napier stay for next season are fairly low right now, so you have to look at your options. And if you remember when Carson Baker came on his official visit to FSU, it was pretty close to call, and then he took another visit to Gainesville, and that kind of set the Gators over the edge. So I think that's probably your most likely. FSU has led in this recruitment at one point. Other ones I'm looking at are Caden Hall. I know Florida State has tried to circle back there. Florida State clearly wants another linebacker. They've made that pretty clear. Malik Morris is one maybe you see them get in on. I know they've contacted edge rusher Kevin Ford from Duncanville. Kendall Gerville's another one who took an official visit. Hezzy Kent. I know they would take a second tight end in this class, so maybe that's one you circle back on as well.
Yeah, and a lot of these battles were kind of back and forth right before the decision. And I bet, some of these guys had to look at Florida State's 2-10 season, see how the way that the Gator season ended. I mean, it looked like and it felt like in the offseason, two programs in different trajectories. But in the end, the game's got to get played. And here you are, Florida State looking undefeated as they head into this matchup on Friday night against Virginia. And then we get to the one that matters. Miami coming up to Tallahassee to take on FSU, which means there's going to be some big-time recruits on campus. I know you guys are going to be all over this at War Chant next week, but who are some of the early names that that we're watching for this Miami FSU game?
Yeah, the biggest one is Derek Cooper. That is one I know you have been on, Josh, with Steve Wiltfong. Yeah. It's one that I don't think is set in stone yet, but I've been told likely that he comes to that game, or at least Derek really wants to go see that game, which makes sense because Florida State and Miami are the two teams looking to flip them. So see them face off in person. And a lot of people on our boards was like, he's just coming to see Miami, whatever. And they're like, well, if you wanted to see Miami, he would just go right down the road, and that's right down the street for him at Chaminade.
You don't got to drive 8 hours to go see Miami.
Exactly. So why would you? And from talking to some people at our Texas site, I think Florida State's really become maybe the biggest chance, or if someone's going to flip him from Texas, which I think would be hard, I think Florida State is that second place right now. We're also watching Caden Hall. I know we just mentioned him, but he's deciding between going to that Texas-Florida game and the Florida State game. Other names are Jarius Rogers, Syracuse commit edge rusher, another Syracuse commit Javion Cooper. In general, I think this is going to be a big coming out party for who they've been in contact with behind the scenes. because this is a weird time where kids don't want to be all out there. And yeah, I'm talking to a bunch of different schools. I'm still committed here. I'm still 100% locked in. Then we get that list Thursday, and you see all the names that pop up, and you're like, all right, now here's who they've really been talking to and trying to keep quiet behind the scenes. So I think we're going to see a lot of that last second drop.
It'll be a fun week on War Chant as you guys confirm more names. We will be following along. Before I let you go, though, Florida State fans love to hear about offensive line recruiting.
Yeah, they do.
And there's an exciting name emerging out of the Atlanta area. That's Jared Dowdy, fresh off this decommitment from Georgia State. Now he's 6'5.5", 300 pounds. FSU, among others, Alabama, Auburn, Ohio State that have offered recently. Do you think they have a shot?
Yeah, I think for sure they have a shot. Obviously, they're already in that top 5. And the good part about this recruitment, everyone's always like, "Oh, you're in it late. You have no way to catch up now." Well, everyone's in it late for this recruitment, so that helps a little bit. I mean, he obviously has ties to Alabama, so that's going to give them an early lead. But as long as they get him on campus, they're going to have a shot. And offensive tackle is a need for this class. It's one that it's been kind of strange. I think they try to circle back on Aaron Thomas. You have Javion Cooper who's coming, but it's been kind of hard to find that guy. Johnny Jones was the guy we thought might be that top flip target, and then he decommits from UCLA with Foster getting fired, and it doesn't seem like that push is there. So I wonder if that push is there here, and we're going to see Florida State go all out in it. And if they do go out in it, it's like college football 26, send the house, so you're going to have a chance.
Yeah. All right, FSU fans, talk to Matt and I. How you guys feeling about the season? How you feeling about recruiting? Who's your top flip target? Put it in the comment section below.